Hello and welcome to another episode of intelliTALKS. And my guest for today is none other than Bradley Sutton from Helium10. Everybody knows Bradley. Hello, Bradley. How are you today?
Doing pretty good. It's a little bit late over here. It's like 10 o'clock at night. Actually,
Oh,
that's not too late. I've done podcasts at midnight before, so this is not too bad.
it's still, yeah, you're young. You can do it. So, yeah, no problem there. It's 6 p.m. actually here. So, we're 4 hours apart, apparently.
Yeah, I'm not too far
All
away.
right. Very nice. So, Bradley, I'm very happy to have you now. And since we're at the edge of Q4, so Q4 is upon us, I would really like to dive into some very nice, let's say, informative talks around how we can optimize for Amazon relevancy, taking into consideration that Q4 is here, Black Friday will come, we'll have December sales, and everyone will be making a lot of zeros on their Amazon account. So, yeah, how shall we optimize for Amazon relevancy by taking it slowly? The first thing that comes into your mind, what would you look at from this perspective?
Well, the answer is the same and different depending on the situation. So the number one thing that I suggest doing, whether you have and when I say situation, I mean like a brand new listing or you're launching, or we're talking about a existing listing that's been out for a while. Something newer that I've been talking about recently, just very recently, just started talking about it, episode 500 of the podcast, is checking a data point that used to be kind of only for Amazon advertising. It's actually from the Amazon advertising section of things, but now it's more relevant to relevancy. And this is called what we call in Helium10 the Amazon recommended rank. Now, this is, I say in Helium10, but it's not a Helium10 metric. This is 100% from Amazon. It's not an estimation by Helium10. All Helium10 did is connect to this data point where it comes from, and then we display it in the tool. And basically what you should do is first get an idea of how Amazon views your product, right? So you would put your ASIN into 𝗁𝗶𝗀, and then you're going to look at a column that I think 95% of people who use Helium10 don't even care, because most people who use 𝗁𝗶𝗀, they just look at organic rank, sponsored rank, search volume, and these are of course the most important. But now I'm really trying to educate people that they should be looking at Amazon recommended rank. So hit the column a couple times so you can sort it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in a descending order for the rank, or ascending order, I should say. And basically what you see as number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is kind of like now what Amazon views as the most relevant keywords for your listing. Before it was only kind of like how Amazon wanted you to advertise your product. But if you do not have very, very relevant words that are relevant right there, that means that Amazon is a little bit confused about your product, or there's some kind of block happening where they don't really want you to rank too much for a certain keyword. And let me explain two situations. Like on a brand new listing, I've done a lot of tests recently where maybe I'll try to launch something that doesn't have a lot of history, or maybe there's a question about how Amazon views it. Like one time I launched a coffin shaped like a bathtub tray, right? Not many products like that on Amazon, like maybe one or two others. So it was interesting when I ran Amazon's recommended rank, it showed like some generic keywords. Like it was not number one keyword should have been coffin bath tray, but it was not relevant for that keyword for whatever reason.
Mhm.
On the flip side, we have our coffin shelf product, the Project X coffin shelf that everybody knows about. It's been the number one selling coffin shelf over, for, if you take 4 years and put it together, we've sold thousands of this product. But for some reason, the last like 1 year, we can't really get past page 1, position 10, even though we're still one of the top converting products. And so this is an old listing. when I put that into 𝗁𝗶𝗀 and look at Amazon recommended rank, 2 years ago, Coffin Shelf was like number 2 or 3. Now, Coffin Shelf is like number 29, I think, the last time. And actually, the cool thing about this is anybody can look at this. So you guys can look at the Coffin Shelf in 𝗁𝗶𝗀. Like this is a data point that you don't just have to look at your own product. You can look at anybody's product, and it shows the same information. So,
Yeah.
like I said, 2 situations. You can know if Amazon is confused about a new product, if it's not relevant, or you can find out on an older product how Amazon views your relevancy to a keyword.
Mhm. That's brilliant. Actually, myself, within the agency, we're very happy with Helium10. We're using it on a daily basis. And I'll definitely have a look into this column because I think the team was not actually taking it into consideration, which is of great value. So having that in mind, relevancy actually based on Amazon's perspective, because this is Amazon feeding us the data, is actually what the listing is telling Amazon, or is it some other metrics that might be hidden there and we don't know about it? Because the listing is very important to contain the right keywords and not go over the edge.
When it's a new listing, it's 100% what Amazon sees in the listing, because what else would it be? There's no history, which is why there's a honeymoon, like what we call the honeymoon period. It's not really, some kind of, special thing that Amazon has a set time, but the reason why we call it honeymoon period is because Amazon has so little data, because it's a brand new listing, so there's no interactions yet, that it has that any little actions kind of count for a lot more, as opposed to a listing that's 4 years old. Amazon has millions of data points, how they clicked on it, heat maps on the like they could see so many things, right? So when it's a new listing, it kind of like is an interpretation of how Amazon interprets your product. And so, of course, if you make a listing for an egg tray, Amazon is not going to just think that it's relevant for a coffin shelf. It's based on the listing. But that being said, you could have the right keywords and you could do everything right on the listing, but you might still need an extra push. And that's why, like that coffin bath tray example I talked about, I had coffin bath tray in the title, just like you're supposed to. I even had it in another couple places in the listing, but still Amazon didn't realize it was a coffin bath tray. It's because it was a brand new listing. There's not enough history. I think it's different when you're in a very, very established niche. Like if I launch a collagen peptides, Amazon, even though there's no history, Amazon is not going to be confused like it was with the coffin bath tray, because if you optimize your listing very similar to other collagen peptides, Amazon can look at that and then knows, okay, we know what this product is. That's the situation. What's going on right now?
Mm-hmm. That's brilliant. Actually, it's a very important metric for everyone out there to optimize their listing, to make sure that they're actually relevant for their keywords that are defining correctly the product they're selling. So actually, Bradley, that's a great let's say way to look at things, because from your project X and for all the information you've been sharing, it's easy for people to actually go and check things out for themselves in terms of getting access to Amazon, just searching for the keywords on Amazon and seeing the product, going back into 𝗁𝗶𝗀, into Helium10's 𝗁𝗶𝗀, and actually getting all the data. And this way, understanding and getting educated, because it's about getting educated in the end. And I like myself getting educated every day with new stuff and always keeping up to date, which is the key here, the key factor to actually remain relevant. We also have to remain relevant ourselves. So that's brilliant. Having in mind that we are still looking for a very powerful, let's say Q4 in terms of a lot of sales, a lot of sales through PPC organically. Doesn't matter how. It's important that people will be storming Amazon, and in the end, Helium-10 is definitely the most powerful, and this is a personal opinion. I don't want to offend anyone out there. The most
I think it's a
powerful
fact.
tool.
It's not an opinion.
There we go. Tool at the moment that can provide, and the most accurate, that
Sure.
it's been working with us for a lot of years. We're
Yeah.
4 years in the agency, and we've been using it daily, like daily. It's really hasn't missed the spot so far. But by looking at the whole Amazon relevancy, in terms of the listing, let's say gems, we have some hidden gems in the listing. We have the description, we have maybe I would tend to look at some small details there in the listing, maybe in the EBC area, to put there some keywords in the title of the files themselves. Is that something that Amazon considers a good metric to go deeper into details and placing relevant keywords behind the images in terms of the file name to actually be not just image 001, but be like your product with other keywords in terms of, you know what I'm saying? Is that something that might be considered of importance here when it comes, or have you tested this?
In my test, I haven't seen any consistency yet. Now, I haven't tested this too much because, in my opinion, it gets to a point where like there's just some things where, you know, like it's not great to test, because if you get to that point, like how much impact is it really, you know, going to have, unless you're, you know, unless you're in a very competitive niche that has thousands of keywords and you need the real estate because you don't have enough. There's so many keywords relevant to your listing that you need to start finding other places because you use up every spot, you know, coffin shelf, egg tray, even collagen peptides. You know, I don't think you're going to have that problem. You have more than enough space in your regular listing to be indexed for the keywords you need to be indexed for, so that you don't necessarily need to do these extra steps. Now, there's other people who say, oh, well, maybe it sends more of these relevancy signals to Amazon. I haven't seen enough proof of that yet. I just did like a 3-month case study on 10 listings, more than 10 listings, where I tested everything, you know, like putting it in the title, putting in the bullet points, putting it in search terms, making it twice, you know, making it one long tail, one short tail. And like, I went really deep where there was not even that much change. And the things that you're talking about, to me, that's like way more deeper, you know, even than that.
Yeah.
So like already at the very end of mine, where it's kind of like, all right, what if I have it once in phrase form, and then the one in broad term with plural, you know, and you know, like I was even going like that, and already I saw a diminishing effect on like how ranking was affected. Now, to me, when you start going to the level of file names and things like that, I don't think it's going to have too much of an impact. Now, that being said, anything can change on Amazon. You know, today we know title is the most important. It's been that way for years. Tomorrow that could change. So you know, one day, of course, maybe file names and things like that could be more could be more important. Now, like you also mentioned A+ content. You know, the one thing that sometimes, you know, people ask me is, hey, how about putting like keywords, you know, like foreign language keywords or misspellings inside of the meta description of the images, you know, right? And number one, I've tested that, you know, like 20 times. And if you are not indexed for the keyword, just putting it in there 100% of the time does not get you indexed. You know, like 20 times, is that enough of a case? Maybe not, but still, that means that the odds of you getting indexed for something in there, if it does happen, it's not very high. But secondly, even if it was important, I never suggest to anybody to use that for keyword stuffing or for indexing or for relevancy. And the reason is because that section is for blind people. You know, the reason why there is a meta description for images is because blind people, when they read a website, they need to hear what is the images so they can get it described. And so imagine you're a blind person looking at coffin shelf, and then you're putting your mouse over it, and all of a sudden it says Gothic decor, and then a whole bunch of Spanish keywords like this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's terrible. So like to me, that's, even if it did work, like I don't think you should do it. I mean, and that's just to be nice, but also that would, if Amazon would allow that a lot, Amazon could get sued by like those organizations that kind of
Yeah.
make sure that people with disabilities are having a good experience. So it just across the board, like I wouldn't suggest doing that. Now, that being said, there are certain back end fields that can be important for different things. So like, for whatever reason, sometimes, I'm sure you know this, you've seen many listings where you could have a keyword that is relevant to a listing, and you have it like 2 times, but Amazon does not index you. Maybe it's because it's in a strange category. Like one time I launched as a test some listing that was socks, so it's in the clothing category, but the socks had words on it. It says, like, on one sock on the bottom, it says, if you can read this, and the other one says, bring me coffee, right? So my main keyword was coffee, right? But I had coffee all over the listing. Amazon, at least in the beginning, would not index me. I'm not talking about ranking, I'm talking about indexing. Would not index me for the word coffee. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense, because Amazon is probably thinking, why would a piece of clothing need to be indexed for the word coffee? So in situations like that, there's a special part of the listing called special features. And so I'll just put a keyword in there, something that won't get indexed anywhere, and like 10 minutes later, it'll be indexed 100% of the time. So that's the kind of thing I like to work on. Not, oh, can I use this meta description and maybe 5% of the time, maybe I'll get indexed, maybe not. No, like I like to deal with the kind of like more better chance. And so yeah, special features is one of the ones I use.
Brilliant. That's an easy, straightforward way to get indexed. And thank you for that. I'm sure everyone finds that very interesting. Now that you've mentioned the keywords, I'm a bit curious. What would be the #1 trick when it comes to displaying the keywords through the listing? How would you structure them? By thinking that you're launching now your product, you're coming to Amazon for the first time, you're doing your keyword research, or maybe structuring them relevant, somehow relevant, broad, maybe misspells. What would be a good idea to look at it from this perspective, and put them in the title, bullets, description, and get the best out of it, because you're very experienced in this one? Yeah.
So I usually try and pick my top 20 keyword phrases. And how I look for the top 20 is, these are the ones that are bringing my competitors, if I have any, the most sales and the highest search volume, of the ones that they're all ranking very highly on page 1. Maybe there's a couple of keywords that I think there's a lot of opportunity, like maybe only one competitor is ranking highly for it, but it's very relevant, and I like that keyword because I only have to compete with one competitor instead of multiple ones. So whatever's my criteria, I always try and pick 20 phrases. When I say 20, but it could be 15, could be 30, but somewhere around there. And those are the ones I want to get in phrase form somewhere in my listing. All right, so I have my list. Now, of those 20, I usually pick 2 or 3 maximum of the most important ones, and that goes into my title. And sometimes the first part of the title is the #1 most important word. So there's 20 keywords total, and then I kind of pick my top 3, and there's always one, like collagen powder or coffin shelf, like it's going to be the name of the product. I want to get that in my canonical URL. It's going to go at the very beginning of my title. So there's that one keyword, and then the 1 or 2 other keywords, I try and make them roots of each other if I can get more bang for my buck in the title. So like if I have a keyword egg tray, but then there's wooden egg tray and egg tray for kitchen, well then I'll do wooden egg tray for kitchen in my title, because now I can get 3 keywords for 1 in my title. And then the rest of my phrases, I just, as I'm making my listing, I just try and get them at least once in phrase form. Now, those top 3 or 4 keywords, sometimes I'll try and duplicate those, in another place in my listing, just to send a little bit of relevancy signal to Amazon. Maybe I put one in the search terms, or maybe it's somewhere else in my listing, but usually I don't have to try to do that. It just comes naturally. Like if you are making a coffin shelf listing, it's impossible to only have coffin shelf once. Like you're going to write, somewhere it's gonna naturally come up. And so I will put it in other parts of my listing, and sometimes it might actually help me to have it more than once, just to send those relevancy signals to Amazon. Now, keyword research is not 20 keywords, right? So maybe from Cerebro, from Magnet, from whatever I'm using, totally I want to be indexed for, I don't know, 150 phrases, right? Well, 130, not the 20, the other 130, I extract the single words that make up those, because those 130 phrases is not all individual keywords. Probably coffin is in 30 of them, right? And shelf is in 20 of them. So I extract or I take away all duplicates and find all of the individual keywords that make up those 130 phrases I want to be indexed for. And then, I just make sure that those are in my listing, in my listing somewhere. And so if I do this, number one, most important thing, I'm making sure Amazon knows I'm relevant for my most important keywords. And then number two, I want to be indexed so I can actually have the potential to rank for those other 120. And that 120, that's just complete made up number. It could be 50, could be 100, could be 200, whatever. Every product is different, but that's kind of like, it's an oversimplification, but that's kind of like the way I structure my listings.
Okay. I am a big fan of variations. This is from different reasons. One of the main reasons is to never run out of stock, or at least, make smaller the possibility to run out of stock, because when you are running out of stock on one variation, another one will pick up. So you'll still be ranked and it will take over. But when you were looking at the actual listing for the variations, would you think that creating different listings for each variation is a good idea, or you just stick to the same listing on all of them?
It depends on the market. So going back to the coffin shelf, when we first launched that, there was no other coffin shelves, or maybe like one other one. So I had 3 colors. I made them all separate listings because I knew I could get on page 1 for all of them, because there's no competition. So that helped me, a little bit, to have 3 spots on page 1. Later, everybody and their cousin launched coffin shelves on Amazon after Project X. And so at that point, what was more important was giving the other colors more visibility from the black, the main listing. So then I combined it into a variation listing. In other categories, if it's already competitive from day one, I launch only in variations from day one. Now, there's people out there, I'm actually, I have a gray hat, right? It's not a black hat. I have a gray hat on right now. So some gray hat strategy, that some people use is like, okay, well, they're going to use Amazon Vine, right? Where it's only a certain number of reviews per variation. So they launch it, 3 separate complete standalone listings. Let me get 30 reviews here, 30 reviews here, 30 reviews on this color, and now let me combine it. Ooh, look at this, I have 90 reviews. So whether Amazon likes that, I don't know. Do I use that strategy? No. But is it 100% against Amazon terms of service? I don't think there's anything against, or it doesn't say. But using common sense, probably Amazon wouldn't like that if they knew that was going on. So that's one reason why people launch maybe separately in the beginning. But there's not always a right or wrong answer here as far as what's better to do. But if you are in a niche where you're probably not going to be able to get on page 1 for all of your variations, if they're separate, then usually it's better to launch in a variation instead of trying to spend so much money to get different colors all on page 1. Because when you have a variation, you can only rank for one of them at a time. Normally, I know there's some categories where you can do more, but because of that, then just go for one listing with 3, 4, 5 variations.
Love it. Also, thank you for that tip. It's actually something that I'm using personally. That's the Vine trick to get more variations to Vine.
I mean,
get more.
It's people for years would always say, oh, search, find, buy, and two-step URLs is against terms of service. It never was before. It was not. And people even now they try and say, oh, before it's always been. The fact is that there was nothing in terms of service about that, and then now there is. Where you can't do it. So for these strategies, maybe I won't use it. Maybe you are, but hey, if you use it, I wouldn't call you a black hat strategy, because it's really not in it doesn't say that you can't do it in terms of service.
Yeah. That's something. Use it at your own risks. On my side, I acknowledge it, I understand it, and I assume, because in the end, being an entrepreneur is sometimes about taking some risks. There are some risks that you want to take, others you don't want to take. It's 100% free for everyone. Brilliant. Bradley, I think this was incredible. Is there anything else you like one mega special trick that you would like to share with our audience here? Something that's,
I would say, going back to what I first talked about at the beginning. If you have newer listings, because the Amazon relevancy is sometimes so strange. And I didn't talk about how to get relevant, and this is also a little bit of a gray area. But the question might be, okay, well, I launched a new listing, and now I look at the Amazon relevancy or the Amazon recommended rank, and my main keyword is not even there, and I can't get PPC impressions. Well, the thing that I use to try is I actually do use a two-step URL. Now, the reason why I do it, and I think that it's okay, is because I am 100% do not care about ranking, keyword ranking. I just need to help Amazon algorithm understand what is this product, right? And so usually I just need one order. Is that going to get me to page 1? No, but again, if I was trying to get to page 1 and using two-step URL, that's against Amazon terms of service. But that coffin bath tray that I talked about, it was not even on the list for Amazon recommended, and I had it in a PPC campaign. I could not get impressions. I just had one person buy it with a two-step URL, and then the next day it became Amazon recommended rank like number 4. I started getting PPC impressions. So that's number 1, is that sometimes, or at least for me, 100% of the time, but I can't say, 100% of the time for everybody it'll work. For me, 100% of the time, that's what will get you relevant for a product. That being said, when you launch a product, every day counts, right? So if you're trying to figure out, I need to change my listing because Amazon doesn't think I'm relevant. I need to do two-step URL. I need to change my bid for PPC. I need to do this and that. You're losing days of like that honeymoon period, and you're trying to figure out what is going on. So I never suggested this before 2 weeks ago, but now what I'm suggesting to some people, if they worry about this, is do a test listing every time you launch a product. Just do one test listing, give it one product or 2 products. If you think that Amazon might be confused because you're in a newer niche, it's better to do it on a test listing. Go through all of those things so that all the trial and error, check what is the Amazon recommended. And if it's not what you want, or if it is what you want, turn off the listing. You're good to go. Now you know exactly what you need to do. You burnt, the only loss is you burnt the UPC. All right, no problem. You use one UPC. It's very worth it. But if you do this test listing and you notice, oh my goodness, my number 1 keyword is not relevant. Oh my goodness, I can't get PPC impressions. Start playing around. Do all the things to figure out what you need to do to get the PPC impressions, what you need to do to become relevant to Amazon. Get everything ready. And now, once you get there, go ahead and turn off the listing because you already maybe wasted 1 week of your honeymoon period. Now you're ready. Now start your real listing from scratch. Now that you know what you have to do, and you can do it all on day 1 instead of figuring out what works and what doesn't work in 7 days. So that's like kind of like my new thing that I don't think, some people might think it's extreme. Like, what? Whenever I launch a product to do a test, but to me, I want to start off from day one the best way that I can. And to do that, for me, the answer is to make a test listing first and get all of the experiments out of the way, and then I'm ready to go the next time.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, even that testing is very important. And throughout the entire Amazon journey, Amazon has the experiments area, so people should definitely get into experimenting, like for main images, for bullet points, for everything that you can, because sometimes we do get attached to our products and we think, okay, this is the perfect way to go forward. And in the end, the product is not about you; it's about your customers. They have to feel it appealing to actually be persuaded into purchasing it and taking advantage of it. Brilliant, Bradley. This was really, really insightful. I would like to very much thank you. I know it's late on your side. I don't want to keep you up very, very late because you also need to get some rest. I'm sure you're traveling with business, and if not with fun, nevertheless have fun. So take advantage of your time there. And I just want to add one more thing here for everyone that's not using Helium10. I totally recommend getting aboard. You have some discount coupons here, discount codes that you can use. They're allowed by Helium10, so don't worry. You can use them with Bradley here's approval, so to speak. But for any other questions, please leave a comment below. Bradley, it's been a pleasure, and thank you.
Mulțumesc.
Oh, thank you, and mulțumesc. Yeah, mulțumesc is Romanian for thank you. Appreciate it. Bradley's been in Romania for some time. He's familiar with a lot of languages, so we don't want to get Bradley to say mulțumesc in a lot and thank you in a lot of languages because we're gonna stay here for a lot of time. Super. All right, Bradley.
All right,
thank you
very
and
much.
have a great one.